You made a case that Trump's position is weaker in the Republican primary than it appears. Why is that?
The polls show him by far the leader in the GOP primary at this stage. The same polls are showing Biden and Trump in head-to-head matchups at even, and maybe a couple polls showing Trump even leading by a point or two, although it's generally within the margin of error. But I think a lot of the current polling, Trump's political position, if you look at things like ability, I think Trump's going to have some problems, right? He's never received majority support from the voters. So I think even in 2016, he got 46% support. He's won through the Electoral College and by cobbling together a coalition in the right states. But again, he's never been really all that impressive in terms of the popular support that he's able to muster. And that's shown in a lot of polling, whether it's favorability or job approval.
About 20% of voters support neither Trump nor President Biden. And in the last election, those types of voters broke heavily for Biden.
And it's hard to see what is different now that would cause those important kind of key voters to switch positions. One of the things I think that's really he's benefited from is that so many of the Republican contenders for the nomination have just avoided attacking him. They're going after each other and they're going at him around the edges, but they're not choosing to attack some real weaknesses in terms of his legacy. What did he actually do as president? The other thing is the legal trouble, right? I find arguments that's going to help Trump in the primary utterly unconvincing. I think there's a couple of things that are worth considering here. First is the logistical headaches that this is going to make for the campaign. He's going to have to show up in court, at the very least, a major distraction for him. The other thing I mentioned is the free media that Trump really benefited from in 2015. That I think is not going to be he's not going to have the same level of advantage this time around. And the other thing that we've seen too is that for Trump, the more he's covered, the more he alienates this middle slice of voters who just have had enough, right? They know him, they're familiar with his shtick, and for the most part, they don't really like it. So the more he's exposed, the sort of more problems it creates for those kind of voters.
I am baffled as to why the Republicans have concluded that they cannot go after Trump. They seem to believe that they will alienate elements of their base and foreclose a pathway for themselves. And so they've put themselves into a prisoner's dilemma, right? They're just hoping that the meek shall inherit the MAGA, and that if they can just hang back long enough, somehow magic will happen, and there is an opening there. 25% of Republican primary voters say that they are already dead set against Trump. An additional 37% indicate that they are open to voting for someone else. That is 62% of voters who could go for someone else. I also am baffled, as you say, by this argument that these indictments, the 91 felony counts pending against him, somehow help him. We've already seen softening in the numbers, both among the general electorate and among the Republican primary electorate, in people who say he did nothing wrong. This is breaking through. So you've got an available pool of voters in the Republican primary electorate who are open to opposing him. You've got a message that breaks through to those voters. The conditions are there. It takes doing it.
There has to be a willingness among other Republicans to actually go after him, mount an affirmative case.
When you do debate prep with candidates, you remind them that they may have 1 minute of face time. And what voters hear is very limited, right? You've got to be crystal clear about your message. And so I just do not understand the Republican candidates who are already polling in the single digits. They get very limited brain time with their intended voters. And what do they spend the majority of their time doing? Defending Donald Trump. It is so bass-ackwards. It is so insane as a political strategy. And if you could get other Republican leaders, Mr. Profiles encourage Mitch McConnell, for example, to pipe up and give you a little air cover and give you a little bit of permission structure mentally, we can criticize Donald Trump. It's all right. The scary man is not going to hurt you. That would go a long way. But I guess we can keep shouting this and we can keep throwing numbers at these folks and they can keep running for vice president.